Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys and Magic. This is Hunter, David, Steven, and Shane. Say what up, guys.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hello.
What up, nerds?
We are back doing our Commander Grades video. That is right. Trekking along, talking about Commander Grades. If you are new here, what we do, we talk about the new legendary creatures from the set, talk about it as a potential commander, what kind of deck we would build it around, how much do we like it, and then we give our own grades at the end, and then we have an average grade between the four of us. This episode, we are going to be talking about the all monocolor commanders from Modern Horizons 3. And we are saying monocolored, even though we're adding three colorless, it's still technically one kind of color thing. You get it. But hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and let's kick it off with this first card. We are talking about the white creatures. It's Pearl Ear, Imperial Advisor. It is 1 and 2 white for a 3/4 legendary creature Fox Advisor. It's got lifelink and it says enchantment spells you cast have affinity for auras. It also says whenever you cast an aura spell that targets a modified permanent you control, draw a card. Shane, I think you liked this when it was first spoiled. What do we think?
I do. I love this card. I think it could be a strong commander. This goes nuts in an enchantment deck though, like as a support piece. I guess it could still be it could be the helm. It does do a lot of good things for enchantments. I do like that, but I just like right off the bat, my first thought was this is a great support piece.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is a great support piece in those kind of decks. Obviously, having affinity for auras is pretty unique, I would say. Your auras just get cheaper for auras you cast. Granted, you are stuck in mono white, so I don't know.
Oh no.
Oh no. What do you think, Steven?
There
Do
are
you
a lot
like
of
to
good
play
enchantments that
enchantments?
aren't in white.
I mean, I love enchantments. This immediately makes me think of Light Paws. And to be quite honest with you, I think if I were to build this deck, I would build it where I could play that and Light Paws. I think they're both fantastic cards. I think this would go really well flip-flopping as a commander for it.
What do you think, David?
I don't generally enjoy this kind of play style of like putting the pants on one creature and then like swinging in. I don't know. My brain goes to like Voltron here to be able to just like load up all
Oh
your
yeah.
auras on this creature. The other thing here, and I know that you don't actually have to do that. The other thing that goes along with this too is that like historically speaking, mono white generally is kind of weak whenever it comes to card draw, but this is a commander that fixes that for you. There is a certain point where you're going to have like enchantment storm basically because your enchantments are going to be ridiculously cheap thanks to all the auras, and you're just going to be drawing a ton of cards. So this is really cool. I'm going to say this is not my favorite kind of commander. This is just not my style, but I will acknowledge this can be a very real deck.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Like I feel like, no pun intended, but mono white being white snowball, it would definitely snowball out of control pretty quickly, especially your auras getting cheaper for every aura you play. So I like that aspect.
I just don't like
Yeah.
the fact that it's mono white. I know Steven said, "Oh no," but honestly, like I want that second color if I'm playing auras.
I mean, I understand why you feel that way. I just, with Light Paws being the way it is, just basically being able to search your deck for certain things and this kind of helping with the card draw. I think that both of them together in a deck, I think they both would be really fun to play. I do enjoy this. I think that having the affinity for auras being so, kind of, I mean, basically new. I mean, I think it's fantastic and I love it. I love that it has lifelink too. I mean, I immediately go straight Voltron. And like David said, you don't have to do it, but that's how I would build it.
Well, let's move on to the grades. We will start with you, Steven. Steven, you seem the highest.
I probably will be. I'm gonna give this a B.
Yeah, I'm gonna go one lower. I'm gonna give it a C.
I as well. I'm gonna be on the C train, I think.
Um, this is going to be really weird. I think Modern Horizons 3 has actually pushed out a massive power level increase with a lot of legendary creatures. I'm going to give this a B. I'm almost tempted to give this an A.
Whoa. All right. Well,
I the I need to look outside and see if the moon is gone or something. Like I think David and I are about to agree on a lot today.
But
Yeah, look
Mercury's in
outside. Look,
retrograde.
dude, on the card, the moon's right there.
Oh,
The
that's
average
fun, man.
grade for Pearl Ear Imperial Advisor is a B. Moving on to the cutest card in this set. It's Phelia, Exuberant Shepherd. It's 1 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature dog. It's got flash, and it says whenever it attacks, exile up to one other target non-land permanent. At the beginning of the next end step, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If it entered under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on Phelia. We got a Blink Commander.
What, dude? White
So
doing
good.
blink stuff?
Yeah, dude. Why does this have flash?
Why not?
Do you see how it's like bursting through the pile of leaves?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like a ETB effect.
It's
This
not.
is flash because they want you to play it on somebody's end step before your turn, so you can swing with it and then immediately get the effect.
You're right.
I know.
It's okay. I
These
don't
kind
know.
of
Go ahead, Dave.
I was gonna say these kind of effects are pretty powerful. The big thing here being too is that this is really cheap. I like this coming down on turn 2. I think this is a commander that is going to be very painful to play with, though, in the mid to later portions of the game when your opponents have bigger creatures and you can't comfortably attack. And if this thing ever dies, it's going to take a very long time for it to be able to build itself back up. But you can blink a non-land permanent, so there's a lot of crazy shenanigans you can do with this.
Hey, you said in the late game this is not going to be big enough. Late game, it's going to be bigger because you're putting counters on it.
I am assuming that your opponents are probably going to kill the dog a couple of times.
You
Why?
what?
It's too.
Oh, it's a dog, dude.
Look, it's got that big smile. It's happy to be here. It wants to be played. It's probably gonna die.
Oh, it will die.
I think my opinion in the last is similar. This seems like a really good support piece, and I just don't know if I'd play it as at the helm. I mean, that might not be the correct opinion. That's my opinion.
I don't think you play this as a support piece at all, to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of this being a support piece with it having to attack. I think having to build around this card is kind of where the strength lies in it.
Yeah. We've seen the Blink Commanders before. I don't feel like this is going down any kind of new lane or showing me any new direction a deck can go. It's cheap. I guess that's good. But I'm not sold on it besides the cute picture. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I'll kick us off. Once again, I'm just going to go average middle of the road here. It is a C from me.
I mean, I'll jump the both Bs. I mean, both the white cards for me. Really good.
I will jump back down then, I guess, and stick with my grade and say C. Middle of the road.
I'm gonna go with the C for this one. I feel more comfortable there.
There's the moon. There it is.
Well, Phelia Exuberant Shepherd gets the average grade of a C. Moving on to the mono red possible commanders, it is Ashling Flame Dancer. It's 2 and 2 red for a 4/4 legendary creature elemental shaman. It says you don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. It also has Magecraft, which means whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, discard a card, then draw a card. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, Ashling Flame Dancer deals 2 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. If it's the third time, add 4 red mana. Seems pretty cool, Dave. What do we think?
It chains a lot. I think that this is really cool. Like, it's going to be able to dig through your deck very quickly. I think that this works incredibly well with Underworld Breach, because you can be able to rapidly fuel your graveyard and just continue to chain. I don't know how much I actually like this card.
I think this card can be pretty good if you're able to get the going and like bank 4 mana on everyone's turn. If you could do that, if you could cast 3 things on each turn, that seems really strong. You're gonna have a crazy amount of unspent mana. But then I guess I don't know what you're gonna do with that mana, but I mean, you're gonna find something to do with it.
I don't know if you're casting 3 spells on everybody's turn. That's a lot of cards in your hand.
That's
Mono red.
magical Christmas land, dude. All right.
Okay.
Like,
It's also
this
a magical
is
Christmas land with this card staying on the field.
it's also not like this isn't drawing you cards. It's rummaging for you, so like you're sculpting your hand, but this isn't like actually increasing your overall card size. I think this is a commander that you really have to be able to play with like graveyard intentions in mind. And there are definitely ways that you can do that in red, and even just like in mono red. Like there's tons of ways for you to be able to like cast instants and sorcery spells a second time in your graveyard. I don't know. This is a really cool card. I think that the potential is there. I think this has an incredibly high ceiling, but I also think it has a relatively low floor. Like this has the potential to do nothing for you.
Yeah,
That's true.
I see it as the floor as well. This is a very interesting build around. It only goes off when you're casting instant sorcery. So if you want any other creatures on the field, this card does nothing.
Also just copying.
Yeah, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery.
Right.
So I don't know. It's pretty interesting, but I don't think it's suited for my playstyle. But I can see it.
I just don't know why you'd want to play this card over like Stella. You know, like why not add that extra color? You know, Stella gives you card advantage. I mean, I understand that, you know, this does have the, you know, discard draw a card. So a little bit of rummaging there, deals the damage to creatures and opponents. But it only does that once, depending on when you do stuff. Like at least like, you know, if you add a color, you have more options, more flexibility. You can add, you know, different color things. It's just I think it's a cool concept. I just don't I think that like David and you said, Hunter, the floor is very low.
I mean, I'll flip it around and talk about the ceiling for a little bit. The ceiling here is you just run a whole bunch of burn spells, right? You're mono red. You're just running straight burn just over and over and over, and you're getting all that mana. And then you can run like an X burn spell, Comet Storm, just kill somebody.
I don't think that that's how I would probably build this, to be completely honest with you.
Fair. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. We will start with David. David, what do you think about Ashling?
I'm gonna give it a C. It seems like fun. I just don't. I'm worried that this also has the potential to turn into a deck that you just like don't do anything.
I do think I'm once again giving it a C. I can't wait to get something not a C.
Well, I'm going to give my first C.
And I'm going to join all three of you with a C as well. So Ashling Flame Dancer gets the average grade of a C. All right, this next card is an Eldrazi Dragon. It's Herigast, Erupting Nullkite. It is 9 generic mana for a 6/6 legendary creature Eldrazi Dragon. It's got an emerge cost of 6 and 2 red. In case you didn't remember, it says you may cast this spell by sacrificing a creature and paying the emerge cost reduced by that creature's mana value. It also says when you cast this spell, you may exile your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. It also has flying. And it says each creature spell you cast has emerge. The emerge cost is equal to its mana value. That's
kinda
pretty
fun.
good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
The best case scenario, you can sacrifice something for 6 and get your commander out for just 2 red. I like that. And then at that point, your
Yep.
entire deck is emerging. So you're going to be building around, hopefully, having things that you're going to sacrifice to get bigger things out, I guess. Is that the game plan? I don't know.
Seems like the game plan.
Seems good.
We have seen these kind of effects before of the like discard your hand. In this case, it's actually exile your hand and then draw 3 cards. It's really cool if you are either A, discarding and caring about your graveyard, which you can't do here, or I guess B, you have no cards in hand. And then in this case, it's just draw 3 cards, which is like a really neat effect. I do have very serious concerns about this commander, though. It initially costs 9, given that you are going to want to emerge this every single time you play it. But that's still a huge emerge cost coming in at 8.
It's reduced by whatever you sack.
Yeah, I get that. If I sack a 3-drop, it's still 5. I mean, I don't know. It's just like this is a commander that there's going to be times where I don't want my commander in the game because I don't want to discard my hand. So like that is a real punishment here. It's cool that this like turns in your emerge stuff, I guess. Like it fuels a deck in an interesting avenue that we really haven't seen before. There's not like an emerge commander, and this I guess gives you access to that. I don't know. There's just like the very high mana value and the not super impactful immediately kind of scares me.
Also, it says you may exile your hand. It's not a must.
Yeah, but you're gonna want to draw your 3 cards. Like, I'm not going to cast this if I like my hand.
I don't know about that. I look at it like this is an insane card because you're going to be cheating out stuff a lot cheaper. As soon as you get this on the field, then think about this as like just as a mono red Eldrazi deck. You're going to be cheating out your Eldrazi for cheap.
Hopefully.
I really like that. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Hunter just kind of like mentioned something that is really important. Like, if this is just like your Eldrazi commander that you now have access to red, this could be cool. Like, this makes, I don't know, your big fat Eldrazi much cheaper or at least more manageable for you to work with. I don't know. I still like, there's something about this that I can't get over.
I'm not really here for this card. I think it's really cool, you know, kind of what David was bringing up about having like an emerge style commander. I mean, I know this can kind of go really nuts, you know, with kind of like the junk diver, kind of like bringing stuff back from your graveyard, then sacking it to play this. And I mean, there's definitely loops with this card, which is really kind of fun and what brings me into it and like it. But I just, you know, the mana cost of pretty much everything you're going to want to do in your deck, it's a little too much for me. And it's hard for me to play decks that require like that are very mana intensive. And I'm not a big fan of them.
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I think I'm highest here. I'm actually going to give Herigast a B. I like this card.
You are the highest. I'm gonna give it a C, man. I think it's cool if you want to play a merge, but seems scary.
I don't like this card. I'm gonna give it a D.
Well, I mean, I don't want to give it a D because, like, if you look closely, it's like his hands are just like, please give me a better grade. I'm gonna give this a C here.
All right. Herigast, Erupting Nullkite gets the average grade of a C. Moving on to a legendary creature that is a common. That is right. It is Skoa, Embermage, 4 and 2 red for a 4/4 legendary creature, goblin wizard. Is when it enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to any target. It also has Grandeur, which means it discard another card named Skoa Embermage, sacrifice 2 mountains, and it deals 4 damage to any target. Now, obviously, not all legendaries are made to be a commander, but we are doing the commander grades, and we talk about every single legendary creature because they can be commanders. And I think we can all agree that obviously this is not good.
Just put a bunch of Skoas in your deck, dude, and then just legend rule them, and then I don't know. Never mind. Just kidding.
That's not how that works. You can
I
only have
know.
one card named Skoa.
It don't work in EDH.
Don't
Yeah,
work.
for everyone at home, we do have to talk about cards for a certain amount of time for the timestamps. So here we are. Skoa
I mean,
Embermage.
Don't say it,
I
David.
like the artwork of this, and I
Oh,
like how
okay.
he's holding his hand out like, guys, remember, I'm a card. Don't forget about me. Talk about me. I also love the flavor text here. I need kindling, so do I, and this provides it.
Which way is he bending? I'm trying to look at his
Yeah.
hips. Like, is his back to us? That's his back, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Crazy, dude. If you think about it, you're flipping your head, dude.
Has it been about a minute yet?
Yeah,
I think
I think it's been about a minute.
Let's go to
Let's
grades.
move on to the grades. Skoa, F.
Wait, you said F? Okay.
Yeah.
Why are you surprised?
I'm
This
just
card
kidding.
is an F.
I'm gonna give it an F.
It's an F from me as well.
Guys, we did it. Shane finally gave a card not a C.
I did it.
Skoa Embermage gets the average grade of an F. Moving on to the mono green, starting with Eladamri, Korvecdal. It's 1 and 2 green for a 3/3 legendary creature, elf warrior. It says you may look at the top card of your library anytime. It also says you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. And it has another ability. You can pay a green, tap it, tap 2 untapped creatures you control, reveal a card from your hand or the top of your library. If you reveal a creature card this way, put it onto the battlefield. Activate only during your turn.
It's so funny this card doesn't say. It just keeps saying you can cast a creature spell, untap creatures. It should just say elves. This is just an elf deck.
No.
I think this is elf ball, dude.
No, not even a little bit.
No.
Why? I think it is for sure.
Because this is 1 mana tap it and you've dropped in Eldrazi.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Elf
You
Ball.
drop anything you want.
I think Elf.
So this also, not only do I think this card is fantastic, but like these kind of effects typically reveal the top card of your library, so you provide information for your opponents. You're not even doing that here. This is just straight up advantage and value for you.
True.
Yep.
This card's really good.
Do you like free things on a cheap
Yes.
commander that
Yes.
provides additional value?
Yes.
Like, this does all of that.
Yeah, but there's the safety valve of you can only do it on your turn.
Oh no.
Let me be really disappointed at the fact that I can only cheat in this 8-drop on my turn. Oh wait, that's right. I'm not gonna be.
I mean, we'll
I
just.
mean, or
they'll die,
listen,
though.
let's run with Shane's opinion. Let's
Yeah.
build Elf Maw, right?
Yeah.
Crater Hoof. Oh
Pretty
my
good.
god, man.
Pretty good.
I love this card so much. I do love playing elves, and when I saw this easily slots into a lot of the decks I've currently built. This is fantastic.
Yeah, but Craterhoof, you would have to tap 2 creatures and they can't attack.
Or if it was on the top of your library, just cast it for like normal.
It's true.
Like, I think this is a card that you look at and you're like, oh, dude, if your deck is playing green, this is probably really good as a support card. And if you're wanting to build around it, this card is also just like really good.
Yeah, Steven, you mentioned that you kind of build around this stuff. I believe this slides really nicely into your Gruul big smashy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even like just like a card like Galta, the Stampede one, where it ETBs and you drop all the big things from your hand onto the battlefield. Like this, I love this card. This is so pushed. It's not funny, man. This is insane.
Eladamri's the GOAT, dude.
It is.
All right, let's move on to the grades. We will start with you, Steven.
Right to an A.
Yeah,
Love it.
this is easily an A. Shane, I cannot wait for your C.
I won't give it a C because it's an A. I understand.
I, too, am giving it an A. Eladamri Korvecdal gets the average grade of an A.
Unanimous.
Moving on to 6. It's 2 and a green for a 2/4 legendary creature, Treefolk. It's got reach. It says whenever it attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put a land card from among them into your hand. Then it says, as long as it's your turn, non-land permanent cards in your graveyard have retrace. Don't remember, it says you may cast permanent cards from your graveyard by discarding a land, in addition to paying their other costs.
Real good.
Okay. Yeah, it is real good. What do we think, Dave?
Green got some haymakers here. I love this. It's cheap. It is a massive card advantage engine. There's plenty of ways that you can be able to just like self-mill in green too. So this is actually not a commander that you even need to worry about having to attack. You're going to be able to play lands with green. That's what this does. I mean, this is another absolutely fantastic card.
Yeah, and that's where I differ. So the thing I'm not a big fan about this card is that I just think this is more support piece than it is commander for me, at least. I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. I do like the retrace. Green does mana ramp so well, and like just Golgari really wants to do the graveyard thing most of the time, and like to get rid of that kind of aspect from this, I'm not a big fan of it.
I don't know, man. You could that retrace is real. I mean, it's basically card advantage.
It's not basically. It is. It's straight card advantage. Your graveyard just basically turns into your hand.
Yeah.
This is just like a green Leer, but you have to pitch a land card.
No, this says not land permanent.
What do you mean? That's fine.
So what I'm saying here is this is an even wider net that you're casting.
Regardless, Leer gave you access to your graveyard. So does this. That's the only thing I'm trying to say.
Gotcha. I just like the fact that like all of your creatures now have this, your planeswalkers have this, your enchantments that were a pain in the butt for your opponent to get rid of now have this. Like, this is a card that if I see, it's like somebody better be playing a farewell.
That's true. Graveyard hate is real against this. But yeah, I don't have much else to say I agree with you, David. This card is fantastic. Let's move on to the grades. David, what are you giving it?
This is an A.
You know, I did agree with you until the grade, so I'm going to go one lower. I'm giving it a B.
I agree with Hunter. And not David. It's a B.
Man, all right. Go ahead and start typing in the comments. I'm going to give this a D.
Well, 6 gets the average grade of a B. Moving on to our final monocolored or colorless creatures. It is the final big 3 Eldrazi. First up, Emrakul, the world anew. It's 12 generic mana for a 12/12 legendary creature Eldrazi. It says when you cast this spell, gain control of all creature target player controls. It also has flying and protection from spells and from permanents that were cast this turn. It also says when it leaves the battlefield, sacrifice all creatures you control. It also has a madness cost that says pay 6 colorless mana.
Wow.
Well, the
What?
madness is basically pointless here.
Yeah,
What
that's
do we-
flavor text.
What do we think about this as a potential commander, Steven?
Well, I guess technically if you played like Command Beacon, put it in your hand and then discarded it. I mean, that's such a weird workaround. I mean, it's a 12 mana Emrakul. It's Emrakul. Like, what else do you really need to say? I mean, it's cool. I really do like it. Art's fantastic. Lots of great abilities written on it. It's a 12/12. Yeah.
I thought
Is it that
Dave,
good?
shit on it.
I think it's bad.
there's no
I
way to
actually,
like, make it
I
cheaper.
I actively think this one's bad. I do think that this is worse than the second printing of Emrakul that we got. These kind of an effects, like you're gonna bully somebody, but this is a massive like hate generator for one player. I feel like this is a card that's gonna like it's a feel bad card where it's like it's super impactful for one player and one player only. The other downside that I see with this is like whenever somebody does interact with this, you're gonna blow up your board. And also,
It's very hard to interact with, though.
not really.
How?
There's plenty of ways that you can like still be able to kill this. Any kind of activated ability or anything that's already in play can still deal with this.
Sure. If it was not cast this turn.
That's what he just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But also, the board you're blowing up, Dave, couldn't it just be everything you stole from that player?
I mean,
True.
it could, but like, let's be real. At that point, you're probably not like you're not going to survive if you have a 12 mana commander and you're not doing anything until you can cast that 12 mana commander. Like,
Yeah.
people look at this, they see the super impactful card that you have in the command zone, and they're going to be gunning for you because they don't want to be the person who's the target of that. I think that this is probably less impactful than that second version of Emrakul that we saw. Just because like she did have a way to be able to make things a little bit cheaper. Gaining control of a player during their turn is probably just as impactful, if not even more impactful than the ability that we have on this one. So like, I just think, realistically, I think that this card is just like weaker than the previous Emrakul that we got. And it has potentially a much worse downside if I'm blowing up my own stuff.
I can see that. Seems like a more fun. I wouldn't even call this a support piece, but just like if you're playing Eldrazi, put it in the deck, obviously. But I don't know if I'd play it at the helm.
I
I
don't
don't even
think.
think I'm putting this in the deck.
Why?
Yeah,
You went
I
from
don't-
liking it to not putting it in the deck, Steven. What the hell?
I like it, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna put
I
it in
like it. It's gonna go at the helm or
Emrakul,
nowhere.
man. Like it's Emrakul. It's just it's
I'd
got
put it in-
history in Magic. I'm not putting this in a deck.
I'd put it in a Eldrazi deck for sure.
Like that downside, and the fact that like if you are going to be building an Eldrazi deck, like you have so many wonderful big targets for you to hit, like you're going to have competition at the 12 mana spot, and like I don't think this makes the cut.
Oh, I just thought, Dave, put this in your Beamtown Bullies.
Why?
Because when you give it to someone and then it dies, they get rid of all their creatures.
I mean,
It's
not
not still impactful. Like I can
What?
even in Beamtown Bullies, like I give a player something where it's just like I don't care about their board state anymore because they just lost the game.
That still seems good though.
This like they lose a couple things. Like I don't care.
All right. You're a boy.
kind of on the same page. I don't think Emrakul here is very good.
I tried.
Yeah, you did try. I like the protection from spells part. But that's kind of all I like from it. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. Dave, we will start with you.
It is a cool, impactful card, and it still does a thing. I'm gonna give this a D.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I give Emrakul a D as well.
I was talking it up, but I'm still also going to give it a D as a commander.
Yeah, and like I said at the beginning, I love this card, so I have to give it a D.
Emrakul, the world anew, gets the average grade of a D. Moving on to Kozilek, the broken reality. It's 9 generic mana for a 9/9 legendary creature Eldrazi. Says when you cast this spell, up to 2 target players each manifest 2 cards from their hands. For each card manifested this way, you draw a card. It also says other colorless creatures you control get +3/+2. Also seems a little less impactful, wouldn't you say, Shane?
I would. I'd played in an Eldrazi deck, but I don't know if I'd make it to Helm again. I will say though, after like the first time it was so spoiled and we read it and you had to like kind of read it to me again, it's cool that you're forcing them to manifest, right? So like you're basically making them get rid of something. Granted, they're getting a 2/2. And like, what if they just get rid of something they can't flip, dude? That's cool. But other than that, like I don't think I want this as my commander.
I do.
Yeah, this one is actually pretty good.
Why?
Why? Because the bottom? I don't. What?
So it's other colorless creatures. That doesn't say other Eldrazi. So like any of your like low to the ground, pump out like a ton of artifact creatures, he works really well here.
Yeah.
Also
I
on
know.
top of that, like so this is 9 mana that you're gonna be able to draw 4 cards off of. And he also makes 2 5/4s.
Yeah, but if you're not doing anything till turn 9, you're screwed.
Don't get me wrong,
Words of
all of the
Dave.
Eldrazi are incredibly expensive. But I do look at it like this Kozilek works really, really well with any kind of like low to the ground deck. If you happen to be playing with Eldrazi Spawn or Scion, that works really well here too. If you do play around, I guess, with like Manifest, card is pretty dope. I do agree with you. I think this is probably better as support than at the helm, but I don't think that this is an Eldrazi commander that I can look at and be like, okay, they've got the Eldrazi theme, they got some cool stuff going on. This is not necessarily like game ending per se, but like it's a powerful card.
Yeah, it is powerful because, as you alluded to, Dave, you're talking about manifesting yourself. So it's up to 2 players, so you can just do yourself. So you're giving yourself the 2/2 creatures, and if they are creatures, you can choose to put creatures down. You can flip them later on. Make even more Eldrazi if you want. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I'm not completely sold on it as a commander, but still think it has a home. 9 mana to give other things +3/+2 is very steep. And I know you said that it's very good, but for 9 mana, I don't know. Let's move on to the grades. We will start with you, Steven.
It's a C. Could be better, but obviously it just does the thing. So
Yeah, I am going to go up 1 from Emrakul as well to this Eldrazi Titan. It is a C from me too.
I'll give this one a C.
All right, I'll get back on my C train.
The average grade for Kozilek, the Broken Reality, is a C. Moving on to the final card we are talking about today. That is right, the final Eldrazi Titan as well. It is Ulamog, the Defiler. It is 10 generic mana for a 7/7 legendary creature Eldrazi. It says when you cast this spell, target opponent exiles half their library, rounded up. It also has a ward of sacrifice 2 permanents. It also says Ulamog the Defiler enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the greatest mana value among cards in exile. And it has Annihilator X, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. Just
Okay.
so much.
This one I can see as your commander.
I really like this card because this is the epitome of F that guy in particular.
You got to do it a couple times, but yeah. No, I meant like because it's only targeting one person. You shake your head at me.
I
Dave.
mean, yeah, I don't know. I look at this as like the first ability here. If you're exiling half my deck, that's cool. It's the same idea for me as Mill, and I know a lot of people get really salty about it, but for Mill, it's just like okay, those cards are just going to be like, they're gone now. I don't know. I look at it like it's not probably not killing me any faster. The exile part is not like winning the game. The fact that this thing is like a 15/15 with Annihilator 8 or something gigantic, and that if I want to target it, I still have to lose things. That's the scary part. This is a card that I feel like exiling is cute, and then as soon as this hits the board, everybody's going to look at each other and be like, okay, well, who's going to bite the bullet? Who's going to take one for the team and path this and be really sad?
Always gonna be Hunter.
I think the card is insane, man. Like I don't. You think about that new what's it called? The Ugin's Labyrinth, that new land that exiles, that kind of tucks away a card. That counts as something that's in exile, right? So if you tucked away another Eldrazi, then it's gonna look at that, where that's the mana value. So it comes in with 12 counters. Okay, cool. Annihilator 12 coming right at you. It's nuts.
It really
Hey, at
is.
least we found a place for Emrakul.
There you go.
There you
I don't know. My only downside with this card is that you can't target yourself with that first ability. Like if I'm playing Eldrazi decks and I exile out some of my Eldrazi, and yeah, this thing now has Annihilator 12. I mean, point it in a direction, and whoever you
then
attacked is dead.
And then it dies, and you're out half a library.
That's fine. I'm not killing myself for me exiling half my library.
He doesn't care. He'll still have his full library at least.
That ward cost too. That's also, I understand. We'll probably say it's not that bad. We all have permanents. We can sack permanents, but someone at the table has to take one for the team when it's not a team game.
I don't know.
Sack 2 permanents, man.
I mean, I get it. There's just treasures are so bountiful now in Magic. I understand the ward effect is strong, but like nowadays, like I don't really think ward is that cool anymore.
You're crazy.
It's so easy to do most of the time, unless it's like the Sauron, where it's like you have to sacrifice a legendary permanent. That's a ward. That's a good ward. But something like this, I'm not a huge fan of. But this is a great card. I don't know if I'm a big fan of this being at the helm of a deck. I think this slots into a lot of decks as a support piece. That's kind of where I stand with it. But this is probably my new favorite Eldrazi that's dropped.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. We will start with David. What are we giving the new Ulamog?
This one is really tricky. I'm going to go ahead and think about it.
I can go then, and I won't think about it. I'm going to give it a B.
I too am going to give it a B. I know it's still 10 mana and it's all colorless that you have to be, but spend a lot of money and you can make this deck good.
Spend a lot of money, you can make this deck good.
I mean,
just this one.
Just Ugin's Labyrinth, that new land, it's like $70. So
I mean, 100%, man. And I love the fact that it's one card out of 100 in my deck. It's nuts. I'm gonna give this card a C. And I don't, just like the price, this card pre-sale was like $100, and it's dropped and dropped and dropped, and now it's about 60. I like it. I just, at the helm of a deck, I'm not just a huge fan of it.
I think I'm going to give it a C as well. And because like the impact that this has, just like pulling out your decks, if I see one of my opponents is playing this card at the helm, that tells me immediately like, okay, I'm going to spend my first 5 turns exclusively attacking that player.
That's not nice.
Well, like this
What
is
this
a
card
massive
does is
heat
not nice,
generator.
dude.
Yeah, it's like if this resolves and gets to swing, whoever it just swung at is probably going to die.
the average grade for Ulamog the Defiler is a B. And that is going to do it for us today. If you guys liked that video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Comment down below. Did you guys agree with these grades? Maybe you disagreed with these grades. Let us know. Always interested to hear what you guys have to say. In the description, you will find links to our social media accounts. That's right. That's TikTok, that's Twitter, that's Instagram, @GuysMagic for each one. Follow us on those as well. On the screen right now, those are all of our Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your added support. It means the world to us. If you guys haven't seen what they're seeing, which is exclusively over on our Patreon, check the description for the link to our Patreon and consider subscribing. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Laters.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.